Hey there, you're watching Philadelphia Eagles Now by Chat Sports. Chase Sr. here with you, no matter where you are or how you're tuned in. As always, I appreciate you for making today's Eagles Now a part of your day. And what I want to talk about, Devin White has been benched, beat out by Nakobe Dean and Zack Baun. Vic Fangio even acknowledged that. We talked about this on the show a couple of weeks ago following that report from Jeff McLean, which a lot of people didn't discuss at the time. So on today's show, will Philadelphia trade linebacker Devin White to a linebacker-needy team? A lot of thoughts on this and the reasoning behind all of this conversation coming up here on the Eagles Now Rundown. Before we dive in, we are on the road to 100,000 subscribers. It is one of my big goals during the 2024 season as the host of this show to get that silver 100,000 subscriber plaque from YouTube. We are 17,768 people away. So if you want Eagles shows on a daily basis, year-round, that are insightful, informative, entertaining, thought-provoking, that involve you because you help steer the ship as well, hit that subscribe button. Devin White, is he going to get dealt by Howie Roseman? Let's talk about it here. As for the cap situation and the cap ramifications, the Eagles would save about $1.1 million in cap space if they traded linebacker Devin White. If the Eagles cut him, they would have to eat about $1 million. So really, if the Eagles were to move off of the former second-team All-Pro linebacker, it would make a lot of sense from a cap perspective, because you're not saving any money. And from a roster standpoint, I don't think it makes sense either. Devin White's contract, it's kind of unfortunate if he's not going to be able to contribute to this team, although to see a former third-round pick start to flourish in Nakobe Dean, that is the positive aspect of this conversation. But the Eagles gave Devin White $3.5 million in guaranteed money. This year he has a cap hit of $1.7 million, and he's set to earn in cash $4 million in total this year. Devin White is a very interesting player. He struggled before signing with Philadelphia, so his stock was down. There wasn't much of a market as far as teams being interested or him getting the contract that he was seeking. And he has really declined since being an All-Pro. And him getting beat out, still a surprise to me, but Buccaneers fans saw this coming because he was a declining player. He really struggled under Todd Bowles. He wanted a new deal. He didn't get it. He started to pout. He demanded a trade that wasn't fulfilled. And then this offseason, the former team captain for Tampa Bay, again, didn't really have much of a market. And this is probably why. When you look at his Pro Football Focus numbers over the last 4 years, not good going into 2024. In 2020, this is when he was an All-Pro. A 43.4 overall grade, run defense grade of 41, a pass rush grade of 85.9. He's really good in that area, and a coverage grade of 39.8. In 2021, 17 games played, 36.2 overall grade, a run defense grade of 29, a pass rush grade of 65.9, and a coverage grade of 43.5. In 2022, 45.5 overall grade, a run defense grade of 42.5, a pass rush grade still good at 71, and then a coverage grade of 47.6. And then last year with the Bucs, he was also benched in that wild card game pretty much against Philadelphia. The overall grade at 46, run defense grade dropped to 30.8 from the season prior, a pass rush grade of 64.1, the lowest of his last 4 years, and then a coverage grade, which was the best, at 56.9. He is an aggressive player who plays at a high speed, high velocity. Because of that aggressiveness, he can take himself out of place sometimes. He can over-pursue. He can miss tackles. He can miss assignments. But I've seen him play at a really high level. And during that Super Bowl run for Tampa Bay, when the Buccaneers won the Super Bowl with Tom Brady leading the charge, Devin White was flying around. He was one of my favorite players in the NFL that year because he was physical, he was fast, he was involved really at all three levels of the defense. And it seemed as though in that playoff run, he was making so many disruptive and impactful plays. Now, you think about who Vic Fangio is as a defensive coordinator. Dunmore guy that's the neighboring town of Scranton, an old school coal mining, iron producing town. He grew up under Jack Henzis, a legendary high school football coach who defines football guy. Vic Fangio is old school. He is regimented. He is strict. He will call you out. And if you mess up, you're going to be in the doghouse. And clearly, after Devin White was the starting linebacker for much of training camp, Vic Fangio saw that he struggled a little bit. And in that preseason opener against Baltimore, there was one play when I went back and watched the tape in which he took a bad angle. It led to a big run. Now, Baldy's breakdowns, he did a breakdown on Devin White, and he's like, man, this guy is a silver bullet type of train. He is, but when you play at that speed again, sometimes you can over-pursue, and if you read a play wrong, you're too late to react to that play because your speed takes you out of the play. So clearly Devin White struggled a little bit, but this is also a good developmental story for Philadelphia because of the emergence of Nakobe Dean. And on Wednesday, Vic Fangio said that Nakobe Dean is going to be the starter at off-ball linebacker alongside Zack Baun, even when Devin White is healthy. Now, Fangio added that White will still have a role with this team, but Nakobe Dean's going to be the starter moving forward, and I agree with that decision because of how he played in training camp, how he played in the preseason, and also how he performed against Green Bay. I thought he made a lot of disruptive plays against the run, against the pass, laid a couple of big hits. He was solid in coverage in moments, and he has this innate ability to really read and diagnose plays because he has a really high football IQ. Now, his Pro Football Focus grades were not good, but this is why you can't always trust the analytics department, right? Because PFF gave him a 29.3 overall grade against Green Bay, a run defense grade of 34.5, a pass rush grade of 50.2, and a coverage grade of 40.2. But I think Nakobe Dean played a lot better than that because what did our eyes tell us? Our eyes told us that Nakobe Dean was all over the place. It was so noticeable when we watched that game. We were like, Nakobe Dean is out there. And he's causing havoc for that Packers offense. Now, did he miss some plays in coverage? There's no doubt about that. He got hit with allowing that Jaden Reed 70-yard touchdown play to happen. I don't think it was on Nakobe Dean, but he did give up some big plays in the pass game. But keep in mind, we're talking about an inexperienced player here in Nakobe Dean who hasn't played a lot at the NFL level because he barely played as a rookie. Last year, he got hurt, had those foot issues, but he did say this offseason, I'm not back, I'm just better. And we are seeing a better version of Nakobe Dean for the Eagles here in the early portion of the season. As for Zack Baun, it's hard for any of us to not be impressed with what he did against Green Bay. He impressed his defensive coordinator in Vic Fangio. And Fangio said we'll continue to utilize his versatility in coverage and around the line of scrimmage as a guy who can get after the quarterback. Baun's Pro Football Focus grades against Green Bay. He graded out very well. And this actually makes sense to me when we point to the analytics. Overall grade of 76.2, a pass rush grade of 77.9, a run defense grade of 62.4, and a coverage grade of 78.9. And Zack Baun really, this entire offseason, reeked of a Vic Fangio signing. We had heard some of the rumblings of him playing off-ball linebacker and not edge, which is what he primarily did with the New Orleans Saints. And despite him not doing a lot of off-ball linebacker stuff in his career, dropping back in coverage, so far so good, and he's impressed his defensive coordinator. And I think that Vic Fangio, credit to him, he saw this coming. We thought maybe he's going to be that Andrew Van Ginkel role, but Andrew Van Ginkel is primarily an edge rusher. Zack Baun has become a weapon for this team because he has versatility to his game, and he can kind of do it all. So we round out with this. Should the Eagles trade Devin White? T for trade, K for keep. If another team comes calling for Devin White and they offer you something good, maybe that moves the needle. But my take, I don't think Philadelphia is deep enough at the linebacker spot to pull the trigger here. Because if Baun or Dean were to get hurt, you're extremely thin. And then you're relying on Jeremiah Trotter Jr. and Ben Van Sumeren.